Hi, John Marshall, DrillMaster. I have the Junior Sword Arch from the Citadel that I'm going to make a couple of comments on. Very interesting ceremony from the Citadel. I'm guessing that this is not a sword arch of juniors. It's for the juniors getting their class rings, maybe, or maybe it is the juniors and they're forming this arch for the seniors getting their class rings. Maybe that sounds better. So if you know, and if you can explain, please comment below. That would help. Anyway, so it's a very unique ceremony. Now, I'm guessing that this is a rehearsal, and that so he's there to take pictures. Maybe this is the actual ceremony. It seemed a bit strange that somebody would just be sitting on the gym floor, leaning back on his hands. So, does this mean anything to me? Absolutely not. But then again, I didn't attend the school. So, if I was an alum, then quite possibly this would be much more significant. Not that it doesn't have any significance. It just doesn't have significance outside of the school. So they're marching forward at very tiny steps, not even half step, with an ankle knee, usually reserved for mark time, but an ankle knee step. So ankle knee means that the opposite ankle is raised to the knee. So you're too close to go to parade rest. That just doesn't work. Honestly, it doesn't work well at all. Now, if you were to go to a version of parade rest called ceremonial at ease, bring the hands in front, either the Air Force technique or this technique, then you could definitely fit together. But you see that the elbows overlap, and it looks like they've taken care of that overlap, that those on the right of the formation overlap those of the left. Still, it just doesn't work well. It's not a visually pleasing stance at all. Not with that entrance there. The entrance with the loud commands, and then forward march, and then the slow entrance of the team. This really is a bit awkward as well with that stance. So it sounds like some announcements are being given. That first step is... Oh, I see. So it was the first step for the first two, but it's the flank step with the knee coming up, out, and over. That's interesting. That it looks good. It works well. No flank, or I should say, no pivot really. So it keeps the with the solemnity of the occasion. Although the tiny step means that the team progresses very, very slowly. So the step is similar, and yet not. So well, of course I can't. There. So look at the feet, and I know this isn't in competition at all, but this can help people to understand what adjudication is about. So this is mainly it was a little bit of reaction, the effect of the performance, and this is a type of performance. So then the analysis that I'm switching to now. Look at the feet pointing down here. Not quite, but definitely doing a good job. But as the team came in, oh, excellent, okay. As the team came in, you could see, of course, you could see variation, slight variation of technique. So just a little variation there. See, he's the second cadet over here, not raising his foot as high, and then has an angle forward instead of the extreme flexion of the toe pointing down that most everybody else has. So you can see that this is very intense and building up to a moment that is quite special. Now, there's a difference with stomps, and so you can stomp with your foot, or you can stomp with your whole body. And we saw this cadet right here stomp with his whole body. He was, setting his whole body in position, ready to stomp as hard as he could. And honestly, that's not necessary. There's a good enough technique to enable everyone to perform that stomp. Just a little bit of phasing, but still the individual moving in the background. I know you're just taking pictures, but boy, really, you so if you're going to do that, dress in black. You just see, the thing about a visual performance is that whatever is moving draws your eye. And so everybody's eye in the audience went, "Oh, what's that? Oh, it's a photographer." And now I missed some of the performance. So that's actually very disappointing that somebody would walk back there and whoever it is only was in frame, for just a few seconds. So you can imagine the entire audience has the peripheral vision here, and so that individual was walking for quite possibly a long time and taking away from the performance. So professional photographers need to always blend in the background or even the foreground, and not get in the way of a performance. And that just got in the way of the performance. That was not good at all. unique draw. The arm swing is just, that has to go. Holy cow. And now I know I'm commenting on something that is massively traditional of the Citadel, and it'll never be taken away, but that just looks bad. So where do we get traditions? Somebody makes them up. Where do we get standards? Actually, somebody makes them up. And that's where we get laws. That's where we get all kinds of things. And it's not just a flippant thought process usually, but that arm swing just isn't. I get the. At first, it was the outside foot, the opposite foot step, and I appreciated that. It was very interesting to watch, so that the team could pivot. This step technique is strange, to say the least. But now, so now I'm seeing a little more clearly. But the phasing of the arms, though, is just really off-putting. It just doesn't really work well at all. But the hand cupping, now I get it. So it's really a circle made with the index finger and thumb, and then the wrists are angled outward, and that's why it looked like they were practically holding hands. So this had to have taken hours to master. So really, this is, I guess this is more of an exhibition performance, and then it's, then maybe the, oh yeah, okay. So yeah, you can see the technique here used with so the technique actually for both of them, and they're trying to miss the plumes. Standing farther back, I think, would have been better. But really, when you go, they're using the Academy sword. So when you go, they're doing this type of wrist angle here, and so bringing it down even farther, which it looks like the cadet over here on the right is actually turning his wrist just a bit so we can bring it down a little farther. You're supposed to have that angle so that the sword is an extension of the arm, and the cadet on the left side here is doing a pretty good job, but earlier, and his has adjusted now, but his was quite a bit of a different angle. a performance such as this. Now, with the angle here, I can understand why they're all making a level image, more or less. But for any visual performance, you have to ask yourself, does this enhance the performance? Is it neutral, or does it take away from? And the two on the outside there, marching out and then marching back in, that made no difference whatsoever. The direction change, that was great. That was really interesting. Now, the inability of everybody else in the formation, except those on the outer position of the legs there, of that plus sign, the inability of them to swing their arms makes the ones who are doing it just look so out of place. And then being out of, so it looks like there's a certain number of lights, spotlights more or less here, going out of the lighted area there for the performance. It just doesn't add to the effect. It takes away. And going so far out, really, again, just like the two going out and back, it doesn't that didn't make sense. But going out so far also really doesn't necessarily enhance the performance really at all. Going outside now, using the light boundaries, that would be good. The light boundaries are, you can see right here, this is it. This is the light boundary, and they shouldn't go any farther than that. And I understand what they're doing, the different formations. That also, it detracts from the performance. There's the solemnity of the occasion, and it looks like everybody should be dressed in tuxedos who's attending this. And I know that this is parents and alumni are in the audience most likely, and friends as well, but the performance with stomp, 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 it just, the other occasional stomps to indicate a halt at different times as the different lines progressed, that worked. Their individual or their tandem, at the same time, and that's fine. This really just detracts from the performance, honestly. It doesn't look good, especially because one of the things that seems to happen with some of them, one of the things that seems to happen with some of the cadets here is, as soon as they start stomping, they do this, and they're stomping like this, and it looks like they're just mad children. I didn't get, what, and this is nothing personal against anyone there, but the whole body changes, and it looks like you're angry, and it looks like you're just going to stomp off, and because you didn't get something. So if you must have that stomp sequence there, which really I think needs to be rewritten. Just a simple marching at 120 would suffice. Honestly, you have a nice flow to the drill design there, which is it works well. It's just that stomping seems way out of place. But if you must stomp, then stand erect, head and eyes straight forward, and it's going to look much better than, this type of angry child, angry toddler. And the double stomps in places as signals from the commander aren't necessary. Two stomps definitely aren't necessary. And the hop is also so out of place. You're in a military. Now this is from Zouave Cadets from the 1950s Ed Sullivan show. That was kind of cool. The Zouave Cadets used to do all kinds of stuff like that. Their drill was quite amazing, and stomping all the time, honestly, but doing all kinds of really frenetic movement. But the double stomps here are out of place. A single stomp will work for a signal, a command. This is a silent performance, but as a veteran with a sign once held up, your drill team isn't silent, because we make noise when we drill. So maybe introductions. Yeah, quite possibly, and that's why each one is going to the ceremonial version of present. Well, kind of. Honestly, instead of facing forward, you overlap your shoulders anyway. Now, and I'm noticing his feet. They seem to be a little bit different, but there's a shoulder overlap. So instead of facing square to the front, you really could. I don't know. You could have a hip and shoulder disagreement, which simply means that hips face forward, shoulders face to an angle, and then you have that overlap of the left shoulder. But or you could just have the whole body aligned and facing at a slight, not extreme, just at a slight angle to facilitate that slight overlap. It seems to be. Now here's what I was talking about with the hand cupping, and then the wrist bend. Not everybody's doing the wrist bend. It's a very unique style, very unique, and I really appreciate it. It looks very good as long as everybody's doing it. He's not, and I get it. Holding your hand in that position for most of the time, that's a bit strenuous. It really is, and I get it. But you're young and you'll get over it. Now, me, I'm not going to do it as long, or hold that position as long. Now, I don't know if it was a visual thing with his pant legs there, but it just looked, his feet looked a little bit different from everybody else's. So it could be just a little optical illusion because of the way the pant legs are laying, one a little longer than the other. Ripples from inside out and outside in really work well. But you can see here the arm swing, it just looks so odd. And the technique used, I don't know that it is completely explained. Zippering in to form one line. That hop, boy, it just does not. And then more stomping, going out into the darker areas. So, and then you really behind the tables there too, so part of the performance is actually blocked really by the tables. I know that we can see most of what's going on, but you have a completely open stage from the end of the table, which is in the dark. Really, it's beyond that the imaginary, more or less, line of the lights there. The lights boundary. All right, so they finished, and then I guess those come through who are going to get their class rings. So interesting performance. It truly is, and I do appreciate it, and I get that there's lots of tradition. So the arm is supposed to be. You formed a cordon. This is an honor cordon, a sword cordon, and I get it. This is not not in line with the military tradition and regs that say that it's a max of 6. So then those are for weddings and other honor cordons that are inside at different occasions. This is fine. This is for the school, and you can have 50 if you want. That's not a big deal. Not gonna bring that up as a negative, not at all. But when you do this, the arm needs to be at a 45-degree angle from the marching surface, and then the sword is an extension of the arm. And you can see right here, this sword not even close to being an extension of the arm. It's more pointed down. Now that could be because of that earlier formation, circle and then pointing the swords flat. Although that kind of formation that blocks everybody's view, and especially if you're sitting down lower, all you see are I guess in between the heads and the necks, you can see a little bit of what's going on. So you need to keep the audience and their perspective in mind when you design a performance like this. So anyway, each line of the cordon is far enough to the sides to where 2 people can walk comfortably down the mat here, which is great. That's fine, but still, at least uniformity of technique. If you're going to go straight ahead, 45 or more or whatever, uniformity of technique. Whatever you're going to choose it and then stick with it. All right, so I hope my comments have been helpful, and I appreciate the request. Thank you very much.